do you think's most at fault in the meeting? I know that the pressure that was building up, all the rest of it, but it felt like Zelenskyy had been frustrated for some time. He decided to speak in a certain series of metaphors. Trump then didn't like the metaphors, and then Vance kind of takes it to the next level.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you.
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
If you didn't have our military equipment, have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
Who do you blame, if anyone, for what happened?
Well, as you say, Paul, Zelenskyy was clearly irritated, and he wore those emotions on his sleeve. It was incredible to see how obviously angry and irritated he was, and he wasn't making any attempt to hide those emotions. I mean, this was a high-stakes meeting. I can't say was very impressed with some of the things J.D. Vance said, and I don't think he acted as well as he could have, and I think Donald Trump should have really done all the talking. But I do place the blame, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but it's on Volodymyr Zelenskyy. This meeting was crucial to him, and he'd been coached, I am told, by a number of Republicans in Congress and other friends of Ukraine on the right, how to handle this meeting. And what he needed to do was smile, say thank you, shake hands, and sign this mineral deal. It was not really that much of a stretch. I get it. In the moment, you get angry, you get irritated. Yeah, but you know what? You're the president of a country at war. You need to hold on to those emotions inside and outwardly do what's best for your country and really for the world in holding Russia at bay. And he utterly failed. And, everyone I know, is just so disappointed with what happened. Even people I know that place the blame on Vance or Trump, even they admit Zelenskyy did not handle himself well at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've been talking about this all night, that part of our conversation here was to explain how we got here from the Trump and MAGA world point of view, right? We know that Russia invaded Ukraine, but also we know that there are people who were very frustrated about tens of and hundreds of billions of dollars that Biden was giving to a country that prior to being invaded by Russia was considered to be a fairly corrupt place, right? The accounting in and around that money, but also it feels to me like some of the feeling about Trump and MAGA world has nothing to do with Ukraine, and it connects back to trillions of dollars in Iraq and trillions of dollars in Afghanistan. Can you again help explain to people watching in little old Australia, how did we get to the point where the American president feels how he feels about a country that's been invaded by what I last time checked was an enemy, Russia?
Well, that's a great insight, Paul, and it really does help to explain a lot about how Americans, and especially a lot of those who voted for President Trump, and again, that was more than half the country, half of voters, feel. Because, yeah, we've had so many long and really disastrous wars in the last, decades here in America, and, utter failures. You spent all that money and again, blood and treasure, blood meaning Americans died in Iraq, in Afghanistan. And, what happened was not what was supposed to happen. Those countries clearly, and you look at Afghanistan, what a real disaster that has been for the people there as well, not just for the Americans who died. And, there's a phrase used here a lot, forever wars. And so, the American people are tired of war, and they're skeptical of spending their money for foreign wars. And I do also put some of the blame on President Biden. He did not sell aid to Ukraine well at all. He really didn't. He didn't, this really deserved a primetime address from the president. Listen, one of our allies has been attacked by one of our biggest enemies, and this is why we need to help them, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how, and this is, again, something Biden never spoke to how to help Ukraine actually achieve victory and not just a stalemate, which is sort of the situation we've ended up. It's really terrible. And my paper, New York Post, begged Biden many times, please sell this war, our support to Ukraine in this better than he did. He did not. And so you've got all of those things coming together. And of course, President Trump was just elected, and he did say he was going to end this. Now, he did not end it on day one as he promised, but of course, even he, I'm sure, knew that was an impossible feat. He's got to bring these parties together. He's got to get deals made, negotiations done. But he did make a promise to end it quickly. And the American people voted for that. And so this is all in the background of what's going on here.
Kelly Jane, so good to talk to you. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. We look forward to reading yourself and understanding America in the pages of the New York Post. All the best, mate.
Thanks, Paul.